In Somalia, where communities face both crisis and recovery, the history of resilience are as strong as the challenges. On her first official visit to the country, IOM's Deputy Director General Ugochi meets farmers reclaiming their land, families rebuilding after displacement, and youth leading climate adaptation. In this conversation, she shares what moved her and why Somalia matters to the global humanitarian agenda, and what the world must understand and act on before it is too late. IOM Deputy Director General Ugochi, welcome to Arladi Media.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
This is your first time official visit to Somalia as IOM Deputy Director General. So why was so important to coming now here?
So this is actually my second visit to Somalia as Deputy Director General for IOM. And it's very important for me to be here because of the very close partnership IOM enjoys with the government and people of Somalia, to reaffirm our commitment in supporting the government in implementing the National Transformation Plan, and to invite His Excellency the President to be part of our high-level event taking place this year at the UN General Assembly, as well as IOM's high-level segment of our council. And there are very few countries that we have invited, but because of the strong partnership, we have invited His Excellency the President.
So what message are you bringing to Somali people, especially those affected by displacement and climate shocks?
So for the people affected, IOM is their partner. IOM has been accompanying the people of Somalia since 2006, and we will continue to do so to build climate resilience, number one. Number two is also to support stabilization. And right now we're at the seed bank at the City University because we have a project here that is focused on climate resilience and ensuring that the people of Somalia, many of whom are farmers in the rural areas, have access to climate resilient seeds, but also it helps in the management of resources and reduces conflict between pastoralists and farmers. So as IOM, for the people who are affected, we are your partner in resilience, we're your partner in stabilization, we're your partner in state building, and we're at the community level working with the most affected people.
Thank you so much. How does Somalia fit into IOM's global vision for addressing forced displacement?
So one of our biggest operations in the world is here in Somalia, where we are working with the government on solutions to end displacement for the millions of IDPs who are already displaced, as well as working to prevent further displacement, particularly due to climate, because we know what the impact is of climate, whether it's flood, whether it's drought, but also because we know the impact of conflict, because conflict also forces displacement. So how can we help people return to their communities? How can we help people integrate in their communities and live peacefully with each other?
Thank you so much. Somalia is one of the latest contributors to global change, to global climate change, but among the most affected. So
we as IOM, in supporting Somalia, as you very rightly said, is heavily impacted by climate, but it's not one of the contributors. So we want to work with the government to unlock access to climate finance, whether it is with the Green Climate Fund, the World Bank, the Africa Development Bank, the Islamic Development Bank, the funding that is available to support countries that are affected. And we we are a key partner in supporting the government. That's one. And then two is supporting the government's advocacy when at, at, in, at international events like the climate, the COP, which will take place in Brazil this year. We've accompanied Somalia through the last three COPs in supporting their priorities, in giving them a platform to raise the issues that are here in Somalia. And as the Prime Minister said to me today, I met with His Excellency before coming here, that Somalia is using these global platforms to talk about solutions, not as a victim, but as providing global solutions with the innovative approaches that are here in Somalia.
Thank you so much. How should countries and donors better respond to the growing link between climate change and displacement?
So what is very clear is we cannot treat climate as a humanitarian issue, the impact of climate as a humanitarian issue with short-term funding. It needs to be financed with development funding for long-term outcomes, and it needs government leadership. So the government has the National Solution Pathways Plan demonstrating their leadership. And we've also been in discussion with the government about the government's own funding and priorities to deal with displacement, and then supporting that, complementing that with our funding, which we receive from our donors. So the key message here is long-term stability and long-term development. Do not treat it as a humanitarian short-term issue.
So far, is Somali government showing any remarkable innovations in how it manages displacement? And also, what are some examples that inspired you during your visit in Somalia?
So one of the innovative approaches here in Somalia is the work with the diaspora. Somalia has a very, very vibrant diaspora. And yes, we know that Somali migrants abroad provide remittances. It's about 20% of the national budget, but they also provide technical capacity and knowledge. So there are many diaspora here in Somalia that, as IOM, as part of the UN family, are supporting their engagement with the government. But also in the communities most affected, we have something called the co-funding mechanism, which is an innovation where the community identifies what is important for them. Their diaspora mobilize money, and IOM matches that contribution. So this is supporting development and stabilization in their communities, and it's very unique to Somalia. I speak about the innovation here in Somalia in many countries where I go in the world because of the role of diaspora.
Thank you so much. For the last question, you work it in many contexts. So, what makes Somalia's response to displacement and climate change unique? And if you will deliver one?
So I think in the case of Somalia, when we look at other countries, the leadership by the government is very, very strong. The government is using a whole of government approach, meaning it's interministerial. I met with the Minister of Environment today, and they're approaching the impact of climate and building resilience across many ministries. I had already spoken about Somalia has been a very vocal voice in advocating for support to address the impact of climate. And then Somalia is also unique in the fact that all of its different policies, it has integrated climate, whether it is rural development, water, education, electrification, all of this, it has applied a climate approach in the way it's addressing its development. And from the perspective of IOM, not just are we very proud that we are supporting the government of Somalia, but that we are also advocating with our donors, with civil society, with the private sector, with the diaspora, to continue to support the government in building the climate resilience of communities here in Somalia.
Thank you for talking to Arladi Media.
Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure.
In Somalia, where communities face both crisis and recovery, the history of resilience are as strong as the challenges. On her first official visit to the country, IOM's debut Director General Ugochi meets farmers reclaiming their land, families rebuilding after displacement, and youth leading climate adaptation. In this conversation, she shares what moved her and why Somalia matters to the global humanitarian agenda, and what the world must understand and act on before it is too late.